All right, writers, another vlog episode, and today, some good news on the personal front. I have an interview at a job, and I'm going to be checking it out. It's back in the trades, which is something of a conflicting note for a lot of writers, and it's kind of what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. So, one sec here. We're going to be reading something. Um, Something I learned through this last job that I had, and truth be told, I could see a lot in my previous life, in my previous jobs and stuff like that. Was that very, very, very few writers just do writing. That they just do like fresh out of high school or whenever they started writing, even in high school or something like that, or whenever. That they knew they wanted to be a novelist or a nonfiction writer or short story writer, anything like that, and they just got straight into writing and never looked back. Very few do. Um, there's a bunch of reasons, but I think it has a lot to do with the lack of kind of like a foundational understanding of life that most people need to be able to make characters real in any given sense. This is where I think you see a lot of younger writers write mostly believable characters, and where you get a lot of this kind of like Mary Sue and I can't remember what the male equivalent is, but yeah, like you get characters who aren't fully fleshed out because they're not just character types, but they don't really have real qualities, or other real qualities are kind of like stapled onto the character to make them feel more real. Where you have like stuff that's just added on to give them like a tokenness to fill out a character role kind of in that space, as opposed to like writing about a character who has a real life counterpart, even if you're not writing about that person, that person informs how you write about that character. And I tried to do that in my first couple novels. A lot of the characters are like hybrids of 3 or 4 of my friends in high school. A lot of the characters and places are hybrids of 3 or 4 places in real life, because that adds depth to it. It's not that you're trying to write about any given coffee shop, but that the feeling you get when you go into one coffee shop exists because it's where it is, it services who it does, all that kind of stuff. And so this concept is covered best, I think, in the first of 7 writing tips that Douglas Wilson gives in Wordsmithy. Which is a great book, especially if you're a Christian author. It's about the same size as The Elements of Style. I recommend it. I only have the one copy, so unlike other books where I keep multiple copies for other authors, keeping this one. But it's a great book. I highlighted the crap out of this one. Like lots of good notes all throughout. Each one of these is multiple notes per page. Great book. Definitely recommend that you go get this if you're a Christian, especially, and if you're a writer in general. That kind of stuff. But he writes about this kind of stuff. So I'm going to read, a page and a bit here, just to, to give you guys what that takeaway point is. A writer should have some kind of real life ballast. Here are 7 tips that will help explain that first tip. And, weather permitting, it should do the same thing with the other 6 as well. Each of the first of 7 tips is a Russian doll lined up in a mantelpiece for you. And when you take each one apart, we should find 7 additional points inside, or at least you should find them as we did if we did this right. And this is the first of 7, so definitely get the book to check this out. Real life duties should be preferred over real life tourism. Taking care of your preschoolers or being deployed with the 7th Fleet is to be far preferred over purchasing a backpack and heading off to find America, or even worse, yourself. Look at the world and try not to look at yourself looking at the world. Your readers may be interested in your description of the world, and they will learn plenty about it in the process. They will learn plenty about you in the process, but they will not be all that interested in your description of yourself directly, even though you may be using the outside world as a scenic backdrop for your junior high melodrama of a tortured and misunderstood soul. When you discharge your duties in the real world, you are learning the concept, and this helps you understand how to discharge your duties to your readers. In the task of writing and reading, the initiative in doing one's duties lies with you, the writer. You are the one who started this whole thing by writing whatever it is you wrote. And so the responsibility is yours. You started it. Your duty as a writer is the same as the respective duties of the plumber, the knee surgeon, the computer repairman, the architect, which is to make it work. Moreover, your duty is to make it work for the customer, which in this case is the reader. Readers have responsibilities too, and that would be a fine topic for another book, but the maintenance of your job is not to make them do their duty raw as they read your writing. Your job is to make it pleasant as you can for them. So when you're out and about doing a stint in the Marine Corps or wherever you are learning two things. You are learning about the world and the people in it, about whom you will write, and you are learning about how to do your job in the service of others, which is what you need to do to continue to undertake the writing life. Knowledge of how to do your duty in one area transfers readily to the other. The right kind of ambition is impatient to get on with it. The right kind of ambition is impatient to get on with it, which means that the aspiring writer would like to graduate from college at 22, marry at 23, and land a major book deal at 24. While the right kind of ambition is good, it rarely works out like that. And if you did have a major book deal at 24, you would hardly have a vast reservoir of experience to draw from. There was the time where you went sledding with your college buddies and broke your finger. Anything else? Maybe a little autobiographical note might illustrate this. I wanted to make books since around the 6th grade, and I published my first book when I was in my late 30s. My point is that the time in between was not wasted. Submarine service, marriage, college, bringing up 3 kids, starting a school for them, and so forth. The kind of life experiences is not distracting you from your appointed task of writing. It is rather a roundabout blessing of giving you something to say. I think that for a lot of writers, and this goes for like most young writers, especially getting into middle age. Like I'm almost 40 here. They look as their writing as something separate from their real life, and they want to try and get enough of them into their writing life to make that their real life. Heaven knows I've wanted to do that. That's not what writing is really about. Some of the best characters, some of the most hard-hitting prose you're going to write comes from people who lived through similar experiences and are bringing that pain and that joy and that rawness to their characters. That doesn't happen when every one of your days consists of you getting, Uber Eats coffees and sitting in your perfectly manicured writing studio while you type away fictional characters. You need those examples. And one of the best ways to get that, especially as a writer, is to have jobs, is to have day jobs that introduce you to all these kind of things. Construction is a great place for this. It does take a lot of time, but it pays well. And what it does is it puts you in a lot of different places doing a lot of different things. Some of the time that I've spent doing contracting and disaster restoration cleanup was some of the best thing, because you meet every character you will ever need for novels in disaster cleanup. You meet everyone on their worst day while you're trying to fix things. If that's not plot resolution in real life, I couldn't write it any better. But yeah, the search for a job and my search for a job right now is definitely eye-opening, because there's a part of me that's like, no, I just want this thing to take off. I just want this vlog to take off and I never have to worry about writing again. And I realize that might actually hamstring my future writing. That if I don't have that job on the side, if I don't have that stuff going on the side, I might not have the fertilizer to put onto these seeds that are ideas for books. I might not have the characters. Great ideas for books are great to have, but they're not by themselves books. I mean, I've got, I think, ideas for 40 good novels. Are they going to be good novels? I don't know. I haven't written them yet. And I haven't taken the things that are part of my life and put them into those books yet. And that's the key. That's the ticket. It's real hard to kind of look at that kind of stuff and really see that it is what's giving your writing value. I saw that in my last job. It was this kind of perfect mix of working with my hands and working with people that it fed into my writing life perfectly. And I really got a lot of nonfiction stuff done. And I'm grateful for it. But it's something to think about as you guys are starting writing, or as you're continuing writing. Maybe you've been writing for several years and you don't know where it's going. Keep at it, and especially keep your day job. Not because the bills just need to get paid, though that is a real thing, but because you're getting paid in something other than just money. You're getting paid in experience that you can bring to your books. And now, if you can, and this is wild career advice from some stranger on the internet. If you don't have dependents, if you don't have anything locking you down, if you're, single and you can afford to live kind of like in chunks of different time, try getting different jobs. Try getting different jobs that are going to, expand those horizons of yours. As a single guy, I never really had that. I got married in college. I've had family. And I love all that kind of stuff. And that definitely feeds into how I write. I don't write about broken childhoods and, all that kind of, like Doug Wilson said, melodramatic teen drama, that kind of stuff. I don't write about that. Like most of my books have healthy, still alive parents to talk and interact with the protagonist, because that's where I'm coming from. But if you're young and you can go find jobs, spend 6 months as a barista just to find out what it's like to be in a coffee shop. Go be a waiter, go be a drywaller, go be a truck driver. Like do all those things. If you have nothing holding you down and you want to write for a living, well then you need to have the living that goes along with that writing, and that might mean being a little bit of a kind of migrant or a nomad as you try and like find that kind of stuff. That's what Doug Wilson talks about, and I suggest you do it too. Those things are important. Learning how to interact with real life is important. It's something I definitely have to look at now as I'm going back into the workforce and trying to launch this writing career. But yeah, it's one of those kind of like background thoughts you want to keep just kind of like on a low simmer in the back 40, that kind of stuff. So Wordsmithy, Douglas Wilson, definitely go check it out. There's 6 more of those tips, and they are amazing. Get those words in, writers.